Alrighty, it's time for another episode of Flight Check. You already know what's going on. We've got the brand new FlyQuest merch on. At least I do. Knox is still. He's got
It's
the.
good old Midori.
He's got the good old Midori merch on. We love that. We love seeing it. You know what we don't love seeing though? Back to the 1 and 2 week. You know, we sometimes it just happens like that, and it's not the best, folks. We don't always like that. Tonight it is me and Knox War on the show. Curly is on vacation, actually. He is, from what I can tell, far away from any sort of internet connection whatsoever. So it's just the gang, the two of us making up the gang tonight.
I'm expecting to hear like house burned down off of oven somewhere in the U.S. somewhere.
Yeah,
I don't know where.
yeah. Somebody burned down their cabin in the middle of the woods or something like that. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what the what the deal is there, Sir Dargo. I liked the duo better anyway. Ooh, well, let's hope Curly.
There's another hot take.
Yeah, let's hope Curly doesn't catch the VOD. We love Curly. We love having him on the show. He is an integral part of this stream. He does all these incredible graphics for us.
We were literally just saying before the show started. Like, oh my god, he does so much work.
Yeah, I was
for
like rushing around trying to do social stuff or like for social media, and then also have the stream ready, and then also think about the talking points. Oh man, well at least this time the stream wasn't scuffed to start out, right? But you know what was scuffed a little bit? Man, these segues are I'm killing them tonight.
You're nailing it, right?
You know what was scuffed a little bit? Some of the games this week, and that went for the entire LCS. Another crazy week, in my opinion.
Not a single team went 3-0. Not a single one.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. I do believe CLG did manage to go 0-3.
0-3.
Even with the DeMonte acquisition. Bit of a feels bad man right there. But interesting week for FlyQuest. So, just the quick overview to start. We'll get into each game specifically, but defeated TSM Friday night in what was a wild comeback. Nox is flashing the 4-1. We are
baby!
officially better than TSM this season, and that, we didn't have even in a best of 5. We won all 4 games. We didn't even need to, go to a game 5. We already had it after game 4, and then we just decided to take them down another peg with a 4th win. And that was, I was watching Double Lift's highlights today from his co-stream, and he was just talking about how after that TSM loss that Daddy Bjergsen was going to be bringing out the belt. Which, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. They definitely deserved that. I'm still honestly not sure exactly how we got that win. And then Saturday, Evil Geniuses took an L to them.
Which, I mean, that was probably the hardest matchup. Well, yeah, that was probably our hardest matchup that weekend. So I wasn't too shocked by that one.
Right. And then we had the 100 Thieves game on Sunday, which got a little interesting because there were a couple team fights mid-game that actually we won. I remember the one where, Closer was sitting in Baron Pit, kind of soloing Baron, and we ended up wiping the team for the most part, and then Closer just goes back in, gets a triple kill, turbo smurfing on the Olaf. Good thing we don't have to play them again for the rest of the regular season, because otherwise... I might be worried, about that Olaf. Might want to ban that LCS teams. It seems to be a good champion for Closer.
There was a comment in our thread and I remember the user because he's in our in the FlyQuest subreddit as well. But like Brogy, he made a comment in the actual our League of Legends endgame post match thread or whatever.
Right.
And he's like, honestly, we took that fight and it would have been a 3-0 for Baron if Closer didn't. And like his exact terminology was, if Closer hadn't gone full mental cracked ass stupid shit on us with that and I was like, oh my god, the terminology on it was just having me dying.
That's incredible.
But it's so true though. Closer is the only reason like he shut us out of that game.
Yeah,
we got our way back in. We were playing to our strengths. We knew exactly what we needed to do, but Closer was just like, no. And I mean, fair play. Closer played that well, but it sucked
for sure. Yeah, so interesting weekend all around. You know, kind of a bit of a crashing back down to earth after a 3-0 week. You know, we like to joke about the 1-2 curse on this show. You know, it's kind of sort of back. We're not super happy to see that.
Still averaging at 1-2 overall.
Yeah. Well, I think right now, the way the records are here, let me look at the summer season. Yeah, we're not 1-2. Oh no, we're still averaging the 1-2.
No, that's what
no, you're right. Oh, my math was bad. I was sitting here thinking like we were 13-25 and like we're just, you know, we were beating it out, but
13. Oh well. No.
Well, if you haven't seen the show before, this is Flight Check, the FlyQuest dedicated fan podcast. Noxwar and I are by no means experts at League of Legends, but you know what? We really enjoy watching the games, and we have opinions, and we know that somewhere out there are other FlyQuest fans who are hungry for more content about their favorite team. So normally we've got our
hunting for the other fans, but we will find them eventually.
We will find you, and you know we have skills that will make you be more interested in listening to FlyQuest content. Normally we've got our third guest, Curly QQ, on the show with us. He is out tonight, but we're excited to have you along, and we're gonna get straight into it. I think, Nox. First of all, I want to hear from you. Some general impressions of the weekend. What were some highlights, lowlights? What were things that you were seeing that kind of stood out to you from the weekend?
Highlights are, once again, I think this team just needs more practice. Mm-hmm. And I say that because they know what they want to do. This team understands what their strengths are, and they know exactly what needs to be done, but they need to actually practice the execution.
Yeah.
So it's very, very reassuring, especially after an entire year of having a team who it looked like they don't know what they want to do, and they can't execute on anything. I'd much rather watch this roster who's struggling, but at least for things where it's like they just can't execute it on, but they at least know what they're doing. I like seeing a team that has the mental thought processes of being able to say, this is what we need to do. We just need to figure out how to do it. Mm-hmm. And I'm enjoying seeing that. And even though it was a 1-2 loss this weekend or 1-2 record this weekend, we showed that we still know what we need to do. And the 2 losses, like, we did not let them take those easily. Like, they were slugfest for those teams to end against us. And that's all I want to see right now. So don't get me wrong. I'm hoping the boys make playoffs. I really think they can make playoffs. But at the same time, like, if we're looking into the future of 2022 in season 12, right? Is it season 12?
Season 12, yeah.
Yeah. Looking into season 12, if we keep this roster, I could see great things for this roster if we keep them. So I'm overall, I'm in a very optimistic, I'm in a very positive mood for these guys right now.
Yeah.
Even though it was not a great weekend, I feel good.
Well, I mean, you said, like, not a great weekend, but in a weird way, I was still very encouraged by what I saw, you know, and I hate to make the comparison, but unfortunately I kind of have to, where some of the games that I watched with the old roster, I felt like they would get behind and then would just kind of give up. Now, I mean, give up is a strong phrase, I think, to use, but that...
We reserve give up for CLG.
Right. Well, the difference, I think, is that even in like the 100 Thieves game, and we saw it really work in the TSM game, the team still played out how their composition was supposed to work and still went for team fights, even from a losing position. And again, this is something that I think a lot of teams in the LCS just do not do, and that is what sets apart this roster in particular. So I'm very excited to see how they improve. I think the one thing that I'd love to see us really work on is the early game. I'm gonna pull up the. I wish I had had the stat ready to go. That would have been nice, wouldn't it have been?
This is part of the reason why Curly is nice, is because we can say, "Hey, Curly, what are your opinion?" And then we can start pulling up
yeah,
stats.
yeah. Usually we can just be like, "Hey, Curly, what do you think?" And then we just start, pulling up stats. But right now, in the since the academy roster got promoted, we have the what is it? The lowest. Oh no, that's June. Hang on, I need that.
Come on, Oracle's Elixir, come through.
All right, finally, I got it. Still the lowest. The lowest early game rating in the entire league, 34.7. And for those of you who don't know how early game rating works, it's basically like the higher it is, the greater percentage chance you have of winning based on how you did in early game. It's not, a cut and dry, here's your odds of winning at the, at 15 minutes or whatever, but it is a good metric or indicator for how your team does in the early game. However, the mid to late rating, the best in the league in the last 2 weeks. So it's this incredible dichotomy where these guys are like the worst early game, but the best mid to late game. And that's just like a super fascinating statistic for me. So I'm interested to see what could happen if we shore up the early game, and then we'll see where things take us. But I mean, as it stands, sitting in 8th place, a 1-game separation from Golden Guardians, and very much in the playoff hunt, which we'll get into down the road. But let's move into the first game of the week. Team Solo Mid, TSM FTXD, as somebody in another Discord helped me remember. Shout out to you, BC, from the 100 Talk Discord. TSM FTXD, they are the only team to lose to FlyQuest 4 times in 1 year. So congratulations to them on that dubious
achievement, if you want to call it that.
If you want to call it an achievement. I'm not exactly sure if you should call it an achievement, but there it is anyway. So looking at this draft, once I have it pulled up, so the Aurelia for Kumo, NXI on Lee Sin. Speaking of the Lee Sin, we gave NXI Lee Sin all 3 games this weekend. And then the LeBlanc,
which I want to get into in a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the LeBlanc, the Zaya, and the Rakan went up against a Nocturne Diana Rise, Aphelios Rel composition. So, I mean, this was, true to some of the statistics, fell behind early game, and then some incredible team fights in the mid to late game that basically won it for us. So, what were your thoughts on this matchup? Like, what were you seeing in this game?
So, for me, what this game really shows about this team right now, and their greatest weakness is, like you were pointing out earlier, the early game, but a lot of it comes from, like, laning phase, right? Currently, Kumo, at least compared to the first 3 games he was in last week, right? He did not look as stable, because last week he had Viego and Gwen, which are 2 very busted champs right now, for being completely honest, right?
Yeah.
And this week he was on Aurelia, Ornn, and Gnar, which is not usually par our course.
Right.
So, and it showed, like, he was not as stable as lane. He did not have as much lane priority, and he just did not have as much agency in the game.
Right.
And so, for me, along with Triple and NXI, I just kind of noticed a lot, especially because I was watching Triple's pro view against Jizuke. We just were not hitting the skill shots that we needed. We did not make the right kind of micro movements that we needed. Some of the minor decision making in lane, as well as like trying to roam in the early game, just was not quite there. And these are tiny little things that you pick up over time, right? It's stuff that once you're in the LCS, it's like, oh, okay. It's just experience. You just got to get those experience reps. And so for the time being, that's the stuff we need to work on, and I need to see more from those three guys, because that's what this TSM game was. Like, mid lane got blown out, top lane got blown out, and for the most part, NXI was having a rough time keeping up with the jungler, right? And really, this game's all about the fact that our team synergy and our ability to understand what our team strengths are and when to turn are is what saved us in this TSM match, especially in that top lane fight where TSM's on our tier 2 tower, or sorry, not even that, heading onto our tier 3 tower. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, all right, snap, go. And TSM's just like, what? And it's just an immediate collapse. And TSM's just scattered. They're wrecked. And we're just suddenly back in the game. And then TSM messes up one more time over by the dragon area. And it's just like, all right, done. End it. Take it. And for me, it was like, damn. I'm not going to lie. That was 24 minutes of us losing and 2 minutes of us just going, we got this. And that was it. Like, we didn't deserve to win that game, if I'm being completely honest. TSM deserved to win that game, and then threw it from dumb decision-making on their part and our incredible ability to turn on a dime.
Yeah. Yeah, there were two... there was one key moment. I have one key moment, one cool, very small thing, and one kind of like, it's not a strategy, but one play style, I guess, that I want to point out here. And the super cool moment was that first team fight at, the first team fight that we won in top lane between our inhibitor turret and the tier 2 turret. Diamond gets a gorgeous 3-man knockup with the Rakan. Kumo follows that up with an incredible Aurelia ult. Triple is able to go in on the LeBlanc, and we basically just explode them. And they're all 1 HP, and then we're just able to clean them up piece by piece. And then following this, Huni on the Nocturne, he's fleeing, and NXI is chasing. And this was an incredible moment that I saw.
the chase.
The chase, but not just that. So NXI places a ward to ward hop so he can get closer to Huni, and the moment he places that ward, Triple TPs onto it. This was in the river during the chase down on Huni, and it's just like, the synergy there is just so good to see, where they're calling, Triple's needing the TP, and NXI is just saying, like, as soon as I drop this ward, you can TP. But it was like instantaneous. Like, it's like he's watching for this ward to drop, and that was such a cool moment to see. And then the play style thing. Did you have a?
Well, I was going to ask you, did you listen to the thing FlyQuest put out after the 3-0 week where it showed like kind of our comms during team fights and stuff?
Yeah, I did listen to that. That was a really awesome highlight video. Yeah, if y'all have not seen that video, they dropped voice comms from the 3-0 weekend, which were really cool, very eye-opening. Really liked seeing that stuff.
It was just kind of cool because what you were saying just helped me remember, like, Triple is very vocal about, like, hey, here's what I can do. And so I don't know what exactly was said during this week, right? But during last week, during the 3-0, he was very vocal in those team fights of like, hey, I got to go back. Here's what I'm going to do. I need you to do this. Like, in team fights, he's probably like the most vocal member. And so if you're going to like make plays, like, Triple's the man to look for in team fights, which I think is awesome. That's great.
Yeah, it's interesting because, he hasn't played in LCS really before, but in some ways he feels like the veteran of the team, because he did play over in OS, for several years. I believe he was on the world stage at least once. So in many respects, Triple is a straight up veteran of the scene, and I think you really see that in the way that the players listen to him and follow his lead. And then just to get back to the thing, the play style, just the aggressiveness to turn, and after that second team fight that we won, for the team to just go, yeah, can we end here, and actually go for it. I mean, how many other teams in the LCS would you just see win that second team fight and then look for a reset? Be like, all right, we got another team fight. Let's go spend our gold. Do whatever. But no, they calculated the death timers. They saw that only Sword Art was up. And they go for the end. And, that is the kind of aggression that you need if you're going to win games in the LCS. And, especially, hopefully on the international stage, you need that kind of aggression. So that was very, very cool to see for me.
I think it's honestly one of the most important aspects of this team because I really don't see that kind of deadly decision making.
Yeah.
Unless it's a top level team when TSM's been on top of their game back in 2016, 2017, or Cloud9 when they're on top of their game, or even 100 Thieves when they were on top of their game. These teams don't even have that level of we're going for the kill right now.
Yeah.
Unless they are feeling themselves. We're yeah, we can do this.
Right.
So the fact that our squad, granted, these guys are now 4-2, but
Yep.
It's a roster that's in 8th place, right? They probably don't have the confidence. They shouldn't have the confidence normally to be able to go for these kind of plays, yet they do.
Yeah.
So that's why, again, I know I said this earlier, but I'm emphasizing if this roster stays together and you get the individual levels of play up to where it's we're not losing lanes so often, and we get that down pat. This is going to be a deadly team later down the line, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, for sure. And, I think, as a bit of a broader overview for the weekend, we went up against arguably the 3 best teams in LCS right now.
I would say it is.
And
it's still arguable, but yeah.
By summer record, 100 Thieves is 16-5, and TSM and Evil Geniuses are both 14-7. And then the next best teams after that 14-7, Cloud9 and Team Liquid at 11-10. It's a 3-game difference.
Wow.
So
Holy crap.
we played. We went through the gauntlet. This week 7. And then if you compare that to last week, it was Cloud9, CLG, and Immortals, and we got the 3-0 there, and those games looked very clean. So I am confident that. When we're not playing the 3 best teams in the league, that we can do so much better. So, I feel like we did kind of sneak one from TSM here. And, I think we should be grateful for it, count our blessings, and, walk away with look, we got the 4-1, and if we meet them in playoffs, they'd better watch out because we have got their number.
Heck yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Let us move on to the next game of the weekend, which was Evil Geniuses. And I'm sorry, but I have a bone to pick with this draft.
Yeah.
I did not like the Ornn. The Ornn was... I get what they were trying to do here. But I just don't like the Ornn. Looking at Games of Legends real fast. Ornn right now.
So while you're looking,
I've got it. I've got it up.
Okay, go for it.
Has a 4.5% presence across all of League of Legends esports, and has a flat 50% win rate. So it is clearly not a high priority player. We've seen it only in like 6 times in NA, a few times in Korea, a little bit in EU, but like China's not playing it. It's a lot of like minor regions, so it's just like we're just not seeing a lot of it right now. And then it goes into the Renekton. Now it is strong. Games of Legends here has it's got an 84% win rate right now against the Renekton. So it's a bit of a counter pick, right? But for the type of player that Kumo has been for us so far, it's not a champion that I want to see him play. I just don't particularly like putting Kumo on the Ornn. What were your thoughts kind of on this draft strategy?
So I think the Ornn can be good. I mean, Draft Legends, like you said, has good statistics to support that, right?
Right.
For us in this comp specifically, I have more of an issue with the comp itself. Not that Kumo was playing it. I think Kumo can play it.
Yeah.
But the comp itself is not really what I want an Ornn to be in. You have a Lee Sin, which is meant to be like an early mid-game champion, right? You've got a LeBlanc, who's meant to be a somewhat late champion if it's like against squishier-ish champions. And then you got the Tristana, which scales well with the Ornn, which is great and all. And then you've got the Leona, which doesn't really matter too much because it's sport. So basically, my main faults with this is you have an Ornn paired with a very early mid-game jungler and a somewhat net kind of, but sort of not really late-game mid laner, right? Whereas ideally, in my opinion, and again, this is where my gold analysis is coming in, so I'm probably going to get smacked by someone who's higher ranking than me. But typically, I would like to see an Ornn paired with something that scales better than a Lee Sin and a LeBlanc, right? So, like, say you put the Ornn in for the 100 Thieves game, right? You got the Victor and Aphelios. You got two champions there who really, really benefit from having that Ornn instead of a LeBlanc and a Lee Sin. So, stuff like that. I mean, I felt like we were kind of our priorities of like, oh yeah, we'll take a little bit of scaling here, we'll take a little bit of mid early game there, and it's just like it didn't quite mesh. It's not exactly what's needed. Like, I would have rather have seen the Gnar. Like, honestly, we just swapped our picks for the 100 Thieves and EG game for the top lane. I would have been happy with it. And I say this knowing EG banned, or maybe we banned. I can't really tell. I'm looking at it kind of weird. But Gnar was banned basically the EG match. But my point still stands is I would have liked a more playmaking bruisery top instead of a sit back, scale, and engage top for Kumo in that particular match. I just didn't think it was that well. In addition to this, from what I've been reading over the weekend, because I am not a mid lane master or anything, but LeBlanc into Ryze is a rough matchup. I don't know if you can back me up on that or not, or if you know, but I've heard and read places that LeBlanc into Ryze is not good. So the fact that we did it twice is kind of like, okay, I don't know if Triple's just got confident or what, but he didn't really get to do that much in the mid lane because of it.
Right. Having not played LeBlanc ever and having played Ryze exactly one time, I cannot comment. But let's look at Games of Legends, which is a fantastic resource, right? I'm not seeing a lot of... I guess I would need premium if I wanted to look at... hang on. Maybe Oracle's Elixir will actually give me the deets.
So while you're looking, so BC says in chat, in my opinion, you cannot fully commit to a late game against EG and 100 Thieves or you'll get rolled, which I agree with totally. I just don't think the... there's better champion picks to achieve what you need outside of the Ornn. And I say this knowing Ornn can be good, but what we'd already drafted does not quite mesh. So I wholeheartedly agree, but I think there was just something, at least for the top lane, there could have been something better for us other than the Ornn.
Yeah. No, I would agree. It just... saying you can't fully commit to late game or you'll get rolled. I mean, it's tough because, like, clearly we know that this roster is strong when it comes to mid to late game. But yeah, if the comp is not set up in a way that's conducive, especially against teams that are very, very good at their mid to late game, like EG and 100 Thieves, then yeah, it's going to be difficult. You will have a tough time. I'm trying to think what else was there to really say about this Evil Geniuses matchup. It just kind of felt like we got behind early and couldn't really...
couldn't just kind of get on our feet, basically.
Yeah, just couldn't get on our feet, fell behind, and they just kind of closed it out.
Like you get sucker punched and you're just like desperately trying to get up, but the guy's just on top of you the whole time.
I think that's
kind of what it felt like.
I think that's a good thing. TMB in chat saying we lost in pick ban, going Lee LeBlanc again without banning the counters. Yeah, I think you said something about that on Discord over the weekend about needing to ban the Ryze. Which
I touched on just now, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, maybe I don't know if I really liked tunneling on Lee Sin for NXI so much as we did over the weekend. I mean, we know he can play, other champions. For example, there's the Diana. There's the Viego. I mean, Xin, people aren't really playing that. But, like, there's other champions that people, pull out and, do well on. I mean, we were seeing Closer pulling out the Olaf. I mean, there's all kinds of champions that you can do. I don't know if I really liked tunneling so much on the Lee Sin.
Yeah, it felt very much like a comfort pick, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's all well and good, especially if you're playing like the top 3 teams. You probably want to be on comfort.
Yeah, I was just about to say it's like if you are playing one of the best teams in the league, I would rather be on comfort champs than, trying to execute a difficult comp on champions that we're not as proven on. But yeah, so we'll see if things change next week when we are not playing the top 3 teams. But I mean, yeah,
I was gonna say, yeah. Do we have anything else on the EG match? Because if speaking of comfort, the 100 Thieves draft was the comfort draft for us.
Talk about comfort draft right there. All right, yeah, let's move on to 100 Thieves. Gnar, Lee Sin, Victor, Aphelios, Thresh, Tomo on.
This is literally our Academy draft back in Arena of Legends in like March.
It's 100%.
Minus the Lee Sin, which wasn't popular at the time. That is literally our draft from like Arena of Legends. That was like our go-to draft for everything.
This is like a 11.7 draft right here.
Yeah.
Except now they had to go up against the Gwen, so we saw how that turned out. So Aphelios Thresh, I liked this bottom lane a lot, honestly, and it was really unfortunate. The opening moments, where 100 Thieves gets the first blood, at like 1 or 2 minutes, because we didn't have. The vision.
We didn't do a proper level 1.
Yeah, we didn't do a proper level 1 defensive setup. Tomo gets caught out when they wrap around for the. They wrap around our. We were on red side, so they wrap around our blue buff, and catch out Tomo, and it was just an unfortunate moment all around. And I mean, this was a game that it was like a mile a minute, right, to start out. It was just like fight after fight after fight. I think at like 10 minutes, the kill score was 7-4, and I was like, all right, well, we're over the kill per minute threshold, so clearly this is an exciting game. Kobe was getting hyped on the desk, and
Kobe was having a field day.
Kobe was loving that game, man. Yeah, I mean, talk to me about. I mean, let's talk through this draft, and we gave 100 Thieves a lot, it felt like. We gave them a lot. I mean, giving them the Gwen, we banned out 2 supports, the Nautilus and the TK. I want to pull up this.
The TK ban, I don't know, and it's partly like I don't know if the league's just trying to figure out TK still or not with all the changes and everything. I still don't even really understand like what his strengths are. I mean, you had freaking a Blaze Olive pulling it out in the mid lane and literally like licking people with it. It's crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, our first 3 bans are Xin Zhao, Viego, and Diana, and like the first 2 make sense. The Diana one, I'm curious if there's a debate here about banning the Gwen, because, the Xin Zhao is a jungle ban, and it's pretty much, if you're red side, I mean, I'm just looking at the last, 2 weeks of games, almost unanimously, if you're on red side, Xin Zhao is your first ban from most teams. It's like 80%, 90% right now. It's a must ban for sure. The Viego, clearly still a good champion. But the Gwen, I was a little surprised to see the Gwen get through. What was your thinking
So
there?
my thought process on this is I'm looking at it and I feel like NXI probably was having a conversation with the team saying he was having struggles with dealing with the Diana because the Diana is what he played against in the other two previous matches against TSM and EG, right? So I'm sure he probably had a talk with the team and was like, hey man, I'm not gonna lie, I'm struggling with the Diana right now. And you can go look back at those jungle pathing games and you can tell he was behind versus the Diana.
Yeah.
So for him, maybe it's like, okay, look, on stage, I'm struggling versus the Diana. And so the team goes, okay, yeah, we can see the evidence. You are struggling a little bit with Diana. Let's help you out. We'll sacrifice the Gwen pick, and we'll ban the Diana for you, okay? And what that ends up resulting is Closer gets an Olaf, and it's just like, uh-oh. In which case, I mean, that's probably just a lack of foresight, which come on, FlyQuest, get it together. Think about it a little more.
Do you think it was like a pick your poison situation when it came to the Gwen versus the Diana?
Yeah, probably. I'm sure they had a long conversation about it, and I'm sure Kuma was like, I got it. Don't worry about it. If they pick, I'm sure he felt fine, right? In which case, team was like, hey, we need to make sure NXI is able to do his thing. That's the most important thing for this team right now is NXI is able to do what he needs. So they put priority on giving NXI what he needs to do what he needs to do on Lee Sin, because clearly, for whatever reason, the team believes putting him on this Lee Sin as a comfort pick is what is best for the team. And so they say, let's ban the Diana. Hopefully that'll help him out. And then 100 Thieves just goes like, oh, well, I mean, there's a perfectly good counter pick in Olaf right here. We'll take it. And so basically, we went 2 poisons through after blocking 1. And it was just like, in hindsight, you go, oh, duh, right? But
right.
Like, I can at least see the logic of FlyQuest going, hey, we really need to help NXI out right now. And the best way we could possibly do that is possibly banning the Diana. So I see the thought process. I see the logic, but I don't think there was quite enough foresight into what 100 Thieves could do to counter us, and that's what really bit us in the butt.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting because not a lot of other teams are taking the Lee Sin jungle right now. Like, it is a bit of a flex. You're seeing it mid somewhat, but, I mean, Nocturne, Diana, Viego, those seem to be the even the Kayn a little bit. You know, there was a lot of Diana played in the last couple weeks. I'm seeing a ton of it on Red Side actually. So yeah, just interesting again, like another Lee Sin pick for NXI. And the thing that I struggled with on this draft, I just to bring it back to that Tahm Kench ban was just super interesting for me because it's just like I don't know if it's worthy of a ban. Like, I know Huhi is really good on the Tahm Kench. Like, he's got a notorious Tahm Kench, right? But
this version of Tahm Kench though, that's my question.
Yeah, right. Like, I would have rather seen a ban on the champ he ended up going with, like the Leona, or doing another ban focused towards Abadage, right? So like they had banned the LeBlanc and Akali, and I felt like there could have been another mid lane ban that we could have thrown his way, close up the pool a little bit. They had already taken the Gwen, so we didn't need to. Like the Gnar was a pretty easy pick for us on R4, right? And then we just wait to see what they pick on B4 and B5 to maybe get a counter in mid lane. But I would have liked to have seen the mid pool get closed up just a little bit more against Abadage, because I feel like he is a turning point for that team. A lot of it revolves around how he plays sometimes. So that's what I would have liked to have seen. And I've been rambling a lot, so why don't you talk a little bit?
I mean, if I'm going to be honest, like, I think Abe can play most things. I think it's going to be very difficult to ban him out. I really would have rather just seen another ban on the closer. Just continue to pinch his pool.
Well,
that's just me, though.
I think at that point he had already picked, because he picked Olaf B2. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Fair
yeah, yeah.
enough.
So what was open for them at the time was mid and support for second
Okay.
ban phase. Um,
I probably would have taken literally. I'm not saying this in hindsight, like, oh yeah, he picked Leona, but like legit, this is a Leona ban straight up.
right, yeah. So I think I would have subbed the. I would have banned Leona instead of the Tom Kench there. I think the not ban is a good one. You know, they ban LeBlanc and Akali, sure, whatever. Ban the Leona, take the Gnar R4, let them take whatever mid and support they want, and then we counter pick in. So they pick Sylas, and then we pick the Victor into it. So, thoughts on the Victor pick here?
Once again, because we were like he counterpicked us, right? There was the Sylas into the Victor. Like
No. It was we picked Victor into Sylas.
Oh, we picked Victor into Sylas.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
From my understanding and my readings, because I'll be honest, I'm not a good League player. I don't know these things off the top of my head. I have to research this stuff.
You know, we all do. That's why we have resources here.
Exactly. And so from my research and my understandings, Victor is not great into Sylas, and it kind of showed in lane. So not saying Triple got stomped, but like Triple wasn't really having the agency he needed. And so later on in the game, it's just like, okay, Sylas takes the Victor ult. He goes in with the Victor ult on top of the other Victor, and it's just hard for the Victor to fight that, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like we kind of just hampered Triple and NXI's ability to play with the comfort picks, which, yeah, it's just one of those things. It's like, yeah, no, comfort's great, but for once, I think the teams that we were playing were like, yeah, you can't get away with this. You actually have to strategically think about how you want to play the game instead of just going, this is what feels good for us.
Yeah.
And so we got called. We got checked. However you want to put it. It's fair. I think the guys definitely learned something this weekend from it, and I think they needed it. But yeah, we got checked saying, hey, you can't play comfort with us.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, it's tough because a lot of the counters to Sylas had been banned. So the Akali, the Lucian, and the Viego had been banned. So, you know, that's unfortunate, obviously. Let me see if I can get... I want all the leagues. Let me see if I can get another possible counter that we could have used against Sylas. I don't know. You know what wasn't banned? Nocturne. We could have taken Nocturne mid. Or, you know.
Zoe's a very good one because there's not an ult to steal there. And it's also a control mage for the most part, and
right.
You can get really
so, yeah, I feel like there were a couple other options rather than the Victor. Yeah, I mean, this is Games of Legends even says here that you know, it's got a 66% win rate against the Victor. So yeah, I just don't like the Victor pick here. But, you know, look, we can second guess draft all day. At the end of it, it came down to execution, right? And you know, they got the early first blood, so, you know, very difficult. Closer, you know, got ahead. Closer was a monster that game. We did have a moment where we could have turned it looked like it was another 100 throws moment for us.
I got hyped watching that moment too. I was like, it's happening!
Yeah, I had to watch the VOD later, and I already knew the result, so I couldn't get too excited. But I know if I had been watching it live, I would have been all over it and definitely spamming some 100 throws in some chats. Some chats somewhere. But yeah, Closer just managed to just really curb stomp with this Olaf. So that was,
in the words of Brogy, mental ass cracked shit.
Yeah, just crazy stuff. So that was the weekend, 1 and 2. But we are into the final 2 weeks here of LCS. There are only 6 games remaining. You know, the teams have played 39 games, which is kind of hard for me to believe. But yeah, 39 games behind us, 6 to go. And there are 3 quick points that I want to discuss in terms of the playoff discussion. So again, to recap, FlyQuest sitting in 8th place at 13 and 26. They are just ahead of Golden Guardians, who are 12 and 27. They are 3 games ahead of Counterlogic Gaming, but I don't really think anyone cares about them anymore. And they are 4 games behind Immortals, who are 17 and 22. And Immortals, in the last 2 weeks, they have gone They went 2-1 this past week, and had an 0-3. So they're 2-4 in their last 6. And then Immortals, just to look at this. So Immortals this week plays Dignitas, Evil Geniuses, and 100 Thieves. So some tough ones there for them. And Golden Guardians goes up against CLG, TSM, and Team Liquid. So maybe one easy game and a couple tougher games. So I would say, yeah, both Immortals and Golden Guardians have like one winnable game and then 2 difficult matchups, which kind of bodes well for us. So, I mean, how are you... I'm starting to get to the point where I feel like Immortals will do just enough to get into playoffs. So right now, they only need, I believe, one more win. 1 or 2 maybe. So they only need to win 1 or 2 more games to get into playoffs. And I don't really see them going 0-6 from here on out. So I feel like it's safe to say that they'll make it in at 7th. Unless some craziness happens and, FlyQuest goes 6-0, Golden Guardians goes 5-1, and Immortals goes 0-6. And, and it's just some craziness happens. But I think Immortals is pretty locked in. So it comes down to FlyQuest versus Golden Guardians. I'm concerned. How do you feel?
Against Golden Guardians?
Yeah.
I'm nervous. I am very nervous. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. I made this comparison in the Discord. It was like, I feel like FlyQuest and Licorice are like that couple who break up, and then it's like they immediately try and improve, and they look better. It's like, I'm gonna go find this guy who's like an 8 out of 10, and Licorice is like, well, I'm gonna find this girl who's like a 9 out of 10, right? And it's just they keep trying to like one up each other. It's like, well, mine's an accountant. It's like, well, mine's a doctor. It keeps going back and forth. And at this point, I'm really afraid that at this point, Licorice just found like Jeff Bezos, and he's living the life, right?
Oh man, yeah.
So it's just, that's how it kind of feels right now. Because for whatever reason, I straight up, I think we got the better of both trades. Like, we have the promotion boys in, and they're looking good, they're looking solid. But then it's like, we gave Licorice over to Golden Guardians, who just looks like a whole different beast.
Yeah,
it is crazy how much improved this team looks, right? And so I'm really, really desperately hoping, like, I hope, I really hope they just had a really strong surge. Like, they felt rejuvenated having Licorice in, and then some of their problems are going to make an appearance again, and they'll start struggling. That's what I'm really, really hoping right now.
Right. Yeah. That they've peaked and it just starts going downhill from here.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully.
Yeah. I think it's important. This is kind of the time in the season where we can start discussing remaining strength of schedule. And I think it's important to bring that up. So if you look at the way the rest of the season progresses, like we just said a moment ago, Week 7, we just played the 3 best teams in the league. And now, it's kind of weird how the schedule has worked out, because Week 8, FlyQuest plays the next 3 best, kind of like the 4, 5, 6, which is Team Liquid, Cloud9, and Dignitas, and then we'll round it out by playing Golden Guardians, Immortals, and CLG for like that 7, 8, 9, 10,
9 and 10
area. Yep. So we're going from like Tier 1 to Tier 2 to Tier 3. So maybe we start ramping it up a little bit, but I want to call particular attention to the Week 9 matchup where we play Golden Guardians, our first game of that week. And we currently hold a 2-2 split with them. So this game could be all important for tiebreakers. So we'll see how that goes. Currently we do hold the 1 game advantage over them. But this week, TL, Cloud9, Dignitas for us. and they're up against CLG, TSM, and TL. So we both play Team Liquid. I think, and then, their final week, they have to go up against us, 100 Thieves, and Immortals. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. I mean, how are you feeling upon hearing kind of like those scheduling updates there?
So, under the assumption that Golden Guardians keeps their same level of play, right? I think in the next 2 weeks, what's going to end up happening is we're going to go 3-3. That's kind of my prediction right now. In which case, Golden Guardians. So, who do they play this week? One more time. Sorry.
TL. Hang on, wrong window.
TL, CLG.
Yeah, CLG, TSM, and Team Liquid.
Okay. So
Chalk up a win on CLG, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And so I'm going to say they're probably going to go – we're going to go 1-2 this week. I think they're probably also going to go 1-2 this week. So we'll still have that one-game advantage. I think – I'm not going to lie. I think Golden Guardians' power level right now is better than ours. I think we'll – right now, if they hold the way they've been playing, I'm not saying they're going to continue playing the way they're playing. But if we take the power level that they are at now, I think we end up losing to them on week 9. But I think we end up going 2-1 that week.
Okay.
And Golden Guardians in week 9 plays us, 100 Thieves, and Immortals.
Yes.
I
know.
So they also may go 2-1.
It's a tight one. I think that final.
It's literally going to come down to that match versus them on that first day.
I think it's going to come down to that match, that Friday night match, to determine who wins the season split there. So that's interesting. But that's down in the future. Right now, we've got to update on the state of the pick'ems. So let's roll over to that. Let's look ahead to week 8, right? You ready for this?
Yep.
Let's do it. All right. So we've got it on screen right now. I hope that looks okay to y'all. So we've got... Man, I fell super far behind. Nox had a fantastic week, going 12-3.
Baby.
I went 9-6, and I think Curly went 10-5. But some interesting discussions here up for debate. So you and I agree on losing to Cloud9 and beating Dignitas, but we disagree on the TL game. So let's hone in. Let's first take care of the latter two games. So, why do you have us taking down Dignitas but losing to Cloud9?
Dignitas, minus that one game this weekend against 100 Thieves. Like, no, sorry guys, that was 100 throw. I don't know what y'all did on that match. But the other matches, Dignitas just does not look good, right? It was just ugly. They're not playing well. I think we have the synergy, and I think we have the understanding of how to play the game, and we're just better than them. Like, I actually legitimately believe we're better than them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not worried about them at all. So yeah, at least for Dignitas, I think it's a solid. I think it's just a really, really solid win for us. I don't see us losing to them.
Sure. Yeah. I think Dignitas is slipping. I think they're just kind of like average, so-so. I'm not very worried about them right now as a team. And then Cloud9, I just think they're good. I think they've been trying to figure things out. But sometimes that just means that this will be the week that they figure everything out and go 3-0, and we'll just be the unfortunate victims. So
I will be very, very sad.
Yeah, I will be too. But Team Liquid, so I'll bring it back to our beautiful faces. There we go. So let's talk about the Team Liquid game, because I think this is...
You and I differ on this. So
we do. And I think this team looks discombobulated. I don't think they look... They don't look particularly together. I don't think Tactical is playing well. Armeo from what I am seeing, this isn't really his meta jungle wise. From what I can tell, I've always seen him more as like a tank player. If Santorin were to miraculously, heal up, which I still hope he does. I hope whatever's going on with him gets figured out. Maybe next week though, after we play them. And then I just don't think this team has the synergy that they were hoping for. I think this Team Liquid is another one of those, like, on paper, wow, this roster is incredible, and then they get together and it's just, like, not working out the way that Steve and his wallet intended. And I think that they are another one of those LCS teams that simply looks to punish other teams for making mistakes, and that's how they win. And I think it's very clear for us, for this current roster, what the mistakes have been. It's been mostly early game issues. So you know that they'll be practicing that this week. You know that they'll be shoring that up. And it'll be fresh on their minds going into that game. So I think the team will play better early game this week. And I think that's really what you need to do to beat Liquid, is just not make mistakes. So as long as we can play clean, I think we'll take this dub. So I'm going with the 2-1 week for the boys. How about you? Why are we gonna lose? Why are you going to make us sad, Knox?
Why am I always a Debbie Downer yet again?
Yeah. I mean, what's it gonna take? Are we gonna have to sign Caps and Reckless, and then bring over Canyon and Khan and Beryl? I mean, what do you want? The Korean EU super team? I mean, come on.
I mean, I spoiled a little bit. I did say we're gonna go 2-1 next week.
Well, okay.
No. What I think, my main worries for this match, and I'm hoping the team synergy can prove me wrong here, right? And that's kind of what we keep banking on. It's team synergy. I mean,
cohesion.
Cohesion. It's what the team strength is, though. So I keep repeating it, but there's a reason why I keep repeating it. But what I'm worried about right now, and I was kind of going into this earlier, is our lanes were getting punished a lot this past week. And frankly, with Alfari in, I'm a little scared for Kumo, because Kumo was kind of getting his butt beat in the top lane this week against Huni and against Impact and against Someday even, right?
Right.
And so, Alfari, in my opinion, is probably the number 2 top laner in the league right now. And even, like, just as a laner, I should say, not as a whole. But as a laner, the man's a very, very good laner. And so that's what I'm nervous about, is Kumo's going to get his butt beaten lane. And Armeo, who's played with NXI a lot in Academy, understands how he plays, and I think is something that they're prepped for. And so they understand how NXI wants to play, right? So that's like, I'm very nervous for this jungle top matchup, basically, against Team Liquid. That's what I'm truly worried about. Jensen's not been impressive for me. Y'all have known that forever. I have a bias against Jensen, yada, yada, yada. Jensen's not a good mid laner, in my opinion. I'm sorry, roast me for it. That's my hot take. And then Tactical hasn't looked that great, and Core JJ, as valuable as he is, has not been the same old Core JJ of past. He's solid, but he's not the best anymore.
Well, he's not. Usually, he's like a perennial MVP contender, right? And I don't think that his play has been to that level this split.
So yeah, exactly. Basically, I just don't think I'm watching you on your talk pod. Anyway, I don't think Tactical and Core JJ are the same level of bot lane as they were in years past, and I think Tomo and Diamond are more than up for the challenge, especially because we got a 2v2 kill against FBI and Huhi, who are, in my opinion, the best bot lane in the league.
Right. Absolutely would agree that they are the best.
We are more than capable of handling Tactical and Core JJ. So I'm not worried for the bot lane. I'm not worried for the mid lane. I'm very, very nervous for this jungle and top, in which case I'm expecting them to sit top, because recently the way you beat Team Liquid is just punishing the crap out of Alfari in the top lane, and I don't know if we're
tilting
up to
him
the
off the face
challenge.
of the planet, basically.
Exactly, yes. And I don't know if we're up for that strategy, because if we go for that strategy and Teal's sitting here going like, yeah, we know that's our weakness and here are the countermeasures for it, we're just going to get clapped back, right? So I don't know how exactly FlyQuest wants to handle this matchup. So my big thing when I do the weekend forecast this weekend is I'm going to be saying you guys need to watch this top lane. If we can hold stable on this and we can get our bot lane getting a lead, we can win this matchup. But for the time being, I'm not sold yet.
Okay. Well, there's that. And then Curly also agreed with the TL win, but had us beating Cloud9 and Dignitas. So he said his little note for us was, heading into the upcoming weekend, I'm confident we'll be able to channel the same energy the team had when we first took down C9 to do it again. Even though Dig has seemed to clean up a bit, we can certainly outshine them. He's looking forward to returning from vacation and watching the promo boys pop off. I'm calling this team just the FlyQuest roster, or like the new roster, or like this particular roster, or whatever. They are no longer the Academy team to me. Do you want to pop over into the Discord and pick out any particular takes? There was maybe one or two in there that I thought were of interest for us.
The quick one we can hit was Roador says Curly was the win condition.
Oh yes,
I would have to agree.
Yeah, Curly go like he's around for the Friday night game and he watches that and we win, and then he goes on vacation and we proceed to lose the next two games. So clearly, it's the curse of the Curly double Q. That is that's the real reason why we lost the last two games. It wasn't because Closer is a beast on Olaf. It wasn't because 100 Thieves got an early first blood because of some mispositioning from Tomo. It's because Curly wasn't watching.
Yep.
Sad.
Yeah, Sag.
Big Sag.
I would say let's go Ricebox. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to go through the whole thing Ricebox said because he has a whole power ranking list. But I think the most interesting thing to take away from this is his power rankings currently hold FlyQuest as 6th place with Cloud9 as 7th and the Golden Guardians sitting in 4th. So give me your opinion on that. What do you think?
Okay, so I think Cloud9's better than that. I mean, where does he have Dignitas?
Right above Immortals at 8th.
Oh, okay. Wait, who's in 5th then?
5th is TL. So he's got EG first, 100 Thieves second, TSM third, Golden Guardians fourth, Team Liquid fifth.
I would have us lower.
Cloud9 seventh.
I would have us 8th, and Cloud9 above TL. But I mean, it's interesting. I like the Golden Guardians, kind of a top half of the table team take. I like that. I think it's a very arguable take for sure.
See, the only thing I'd say we're 7th, and I would just put Cloud9 above us. I think we are better than Dig. I think we're better than Immortals, and I think we're better than CLG.
Yeah. I think we're better than. Yeah. I think we're definitely better than Dig, Immortals, and CLG right now, and I think we can compete with Golden Guardians. I think that team is peaking right now, and they'll fall off. That is my hot take of the weekend. That's how I would put it. Anything else?
I'll hit TMB. It's the last one. So TMB says, honest opinion, team could have gone 3-0, but I think Triple Fantics were feeling themselves too much, picking LeBlanc into a rise against EG after hard losing lane to Power Evil the day before. And NXI's champ pool may be an issue if you can only play Lee. Lee doesn't fit into every comp. It's most likely why we lost 100 Thieves. So kind of covered this earlier. I don't think it's his only champ. I think it's his comfort champ. And I think FlyQuest made a decision to say, hey, we're playing comfort this weekend because we're playing the 3 best teams, which as a general mindset is okay, but I think they maybe took it a little too far and we got punished for it, which I think like I said, we got checked on it, which is fine. And then,
I think that's fair.
Triple Fantics, LeBlanc, and the Rise thing. again, I don't know that matchup very well, but from what I've read, I guess that is a bit of a losing matchup.
Yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't say it's what cost us the game, though. In which case, clearly with Lee Sin and LeBlanc, those are two very playmaking champions, and if those two want to make plays, I'm not going to complain about having playmaking champs. So
no, I'm not going to complain about that at all.
I don't think. I think the Lee Sin into being repeatedly picked over and over again was probably the bigger offender than the LeBlanc into the Rise. I think Triple could still do stuff. It just wasn't as effective. In general, along with the Victor into the Silas pick wasn't that great. So, I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. I think we could do better drafting.
Right.
I think we could do better drafting.
No, yeah, I would. I would agree. So, I mean, we'll see. Hopefully we don't have to do another LeBlanc into Rise recap of a game next week. That might not go so well for us.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, well, that's about it. Is there anything that you wanted to bring up? That's about it in terms of like the games. Like what's some takes that you've got that you want to bring into the show?
It's not even a take. This is all of you in the chat, all of you listening. I got some homework for you.
Ooh, homework.
I want you guys to go.
I haven't done homework.
Check out. I want you guys to go check out the 3 games this weekend, and I want you guys to go see who had the lowest vision score in all 3 games. So.
You don't even have to watch the games. You can just go find the match history.
Yeah, you can go find the match history, whichever you want to go do. So, and then I want you guys to tell me why NXI has the lowest score consistently in all 3 games.
Ooh, especially when he played Lee Sin, and half of Lee Sin's kit is placing down wards so you can ward hop. I mean, the man should have a higher vision score. Well, okay. Interesting.
Consistently had the lowest vision score out of anyone on the team or against the opposing team, consistently in all 3 games. In fact, I don't think, granted, I didn't look at the very end of the game, but at least while major team fights were happening towards the end, like game deciding team fights were happening, he consistently had the lowest vision score in the game, which tells me, I don't know if because I'm not a jungle main and I haven't thoroughly combed through the VOD to look yet, but there's got to be something with the pathing, right?
Sure.
I don't know what it is, but his pathing's got to change. His ward purchases need to be more common. I don't know if he's not buying enough wards or if he's not clearing enough wards. Like, I don't know what it is. It may even be Lee Sin. I mean, who knows? Yeah. Maybe it's like, you think, Lee Sin, maybe he has a high vision scores because he's got to use wards to hop around, but maybe that's not even it, right? So it may have been the Lee Sin pick. Who knows? But I want you guys to go take a look at that and ask yourselves, like, why is the jungler having one of the lowest, not even one of the lowest vision score in all 3 of these games?
Sure.
And what can he do coming into the next weekend to make that better? That's going to help FlyQuest out.
No, that's great. All right, well, that'll be something we will keep track of for this upcoming weekend, and we can maybe revisit it next week. We'll do a little bit of a vision score update for everybody.
Yeah, so someone remind me next week, and we'll double check on stream.
I'll make a note in the group chat, and we can pay attention very closely to NXI's vision score.
That'll work.
That'll work. Very cool. Well, quick hit. Let me just say, quick hit on the Academy team. I would like to spend a little bit more time on them, but we do need to wrap up.
Yes, we do.
Wrap up the show. I think they went 2-2 this week. These were the first games with Philip in the top lane, and I think from what I saw, I mean, he didn't play bad. I thought he played fairly decently. But I do get the sense that, without Kumo in there was, some struggles. Again, I really think Kumo is the linchpin that holds both the current LCS roster and the old LCS roster together. So we'll see how that goes. They are still in first place in Academy, and they have 8 games remaining. So that'll be fun to watch to see how they do. Hopefully they'll I'm sure they'll qualify for Academy playoffs and then Proving Grounds. So I'm very excited to see how that goes, and maybe they can prove that they do deserve some LCS spots once and for all.
Hopefully, that would be ideal.
Yeah. Any quick thoughts on Academy from you?
I only saw the 2 games they won, so I never got to look at what they were struggling with.
Well, we know why they did great, but we don't know why they lost. Yeah. Well,
in the 2 games that they won, it was mainly our laners, which is funnily enough opposite of our team currently in the LCS. Our laners just doing better mechanical lane things than the opposing team in Academy, which go figure, these are LCS level players, they're playing in Academy. So
right.
I'm assuming the reason we lost, again, this is kind of on me for not getting time to watch those games. It's been a busy week for me.
Good. Same here, brother.
But you and me both. So, but either way, just the 2 games I saw were really us just kind of overpowering the laners, and just like, we have priority, therefore we are going to just do what we want to go do, and that's all well and good. But I'm assuming those 2 losses come from lack of synergy and lack of shot calling, which Kumo clearly helped them get the week previous when he was still playing on that roster and helped them go 4-0.
I fully agree. Like I said, I really feel like Kumo was a big linchpin. Ricebox saying one of the losses was a bad draft. We picked Renekton, Silas, Callista into 3 tanks. Yeah, that would do it.
That'll do it.
That'll rough drafts. They'll get you every time. But you know what?
That'll do it.
You know what also has you every time, folks? Flight Check. We love you all, and we will always be here to discuss the games, to discuss the team. We are super thankful for everyone who comes in and tunes in to the show every single week. If you are just tuning in now and you would like to watch the rest of this, the VOD will be up here on Twitch momentarily. But you could also check it out on YouTube later. Usually it goes up same evening. Nox is pretty good about getting that done, or Curly, whoever takes care of it. I'm never the one who actually puts it on YouTube for some reason.
I usually get it up by about midnight Central Time.
All right, there you go. So it can be there first thing in the morning for you. You can listen to it while you're working or while you're at the gym or whatever you want to do. If you want to know when we're streaming next, it'll be next Monday, same time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, right here, twitch.tv/FlightCheckCrew. You can follow the show on Twitter, at FlightCheckCrew on Twitter. You can also follow myself, Sandy Toes, at SantosDB on Twitter, and Noxwar at NoxWar, war with 2 R's. And our third ghost host tonight, Curly, you can follow him at Curly_QQ_ again. And then we are still working on getting all the affiliate stuff figured out and podcast backlog uploaded. It's summer. It's summer in DC, which means that there are things going on all the time, and I am very busy. So I'm trying to balance social life with other fun responsibilities. So that's my apology for kind of being behind on some of those things. Also
don't worry about it. You and me both.
Yeah,
I could help you out with that too. So it's not just you.
Yeah. We were also on. I do want to shout this out real fast. We were on another show. I'm gonna blank on the name. Was it Daily Fantasy Summoner? Is that the name of his show? Yeah. Daily Fantasy Summoner by Prime LOL. Great show. We kind of recapped the FlyQuest season so far, talked about the 2020 off season, and then what our expectations were coming into spring, and what we are looking forward to from FlyQuest in the future, and did a little bit of discussion with him on who are the best players on the current FlyQuest roster to pick for your daily fantasy team. Prime does a lot of great content revolving around daily fantasy, if you are into that kind of thing. So go check out his show, Daily Fantasy Summoner. You can find it on Podbean and several other sources as well. I think his Twitter is Prime, PRIM3. And then I think there's an LOL in there somewhere. But just search PRIM3, and I'm sure you will find his Twitter. So go check that out. We had a really good time on his show, and it was super enjoyable. He's a lovely, lovely individual. Knox, any quick shout-outs? Anything you want to... Did you have a good week? What was your last week like?
My last week's been busy, dude. I got hired at a new job, so I've been handling that all week. Yep. Been handling stuff with the old job, like piecing out, getting things settled there. Yeah, it's been go in the personal work life. So
nice.
it's kind of nice to be wrapping things up and getting on to new things and actually being able to live my adult life.
Yeah, you tell me. You and me both, brother.
Outside of that, though, shout out to your transitions tonight, my dude. You've been on point with them. Like, I've been like, damn, nice. Like, good
I will say, tonight I felt like I did really well with the quick segues into the next topics of conversation. I was pretty proud of some of those moments, yeah. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Other than that, shout out to Curly, who's on vacation right now, because he even got all of our stuff that we needed for tonight, as well as all of our projects in the coming week prepped and ready to go for mainly Sandy.
Yeah.
And a little bit me at the same time, but mainly Sandy. So thank you, Curly, on that. And then shout out to, honestly, all the FlyQuest guys. I know it was a bit of a rough weekend, a bit of a wake-up call. You got checked. It's fine. Don't let it stop you.
Yeah.
Come roaring into next weekend. That's all I need to hear. That's all I need to see.
You've got this. Cool. My one... two shout-outs. One, I'm going to shout out Curly real fast. And hope he's having a very restful vacation. And then my other shout-out tonight is going to the Washington Nationals, who are currently up 12-0 over the Miami Marlins.
Holy crap.
And it is only the top of the 6th inning. So we are feeling good tonight in the DC hood, folks. It's a good time. Hopefully we'll put together another winning streak and catch up with those loser New York Mets. Apologies to any New Yorkers in the chat. Well, this has been Flight Check Season 1, Episode 18. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll be back next week with another brand new show. Hopefully we'll be celebrating another 3-0 weekend for the boys. But until then, stay safe out there. We love being here, and we'll catch you real soon. Adios.
Have a good one, guys, and go check out 100 Talk Pod. And peace, y'all.